So I don't remember much about the border. The borders were crazy. It was like our second border that we were going to have to do, and I think we were probably a little stressed about it. Just you got to be patient with your paperwork, do your thing, follow the steps, not try to be rushy. Rushy, great word. But anyway, so no problem with the border, I don't think. We got through. It takes a couple hours always, at least a couple hours. It's not like America-Canada border where it's like, hey, 10 minutes later, 30 seconds later, you're through. Like, it takes hours, right? Especially with a vehicle. Anyway, so we get into Guatemala, and the first thing I noticed is like, it's different than Mexico. It's like, feels way more poor. It's like villages all along the highway, which is like a 2-lane. Palm trees that just feel super tropical because we're at sea level now. But like villages and just really warm feeling from the people, even though we didn't get out and be like, hey man, what's up? It was just like, it felt good, right? So we're cruising. And then we had to go up to Quetzaltenango. Shayla is the name for it. And that's at like 7,000 feet or 7,500 feet or something like that. So we do this huge climb up there. And the car is behaving. And it's this, I like the climb. You can feel the temperature dropping, right? And you kind of come up this plateau. And I remember like, I think Conrad was getting a bit tired because he was driving at this point. So I was pretty sick. And we get to this like top spot where it's like open country, you know, it's the highlands. And he's like, I think this is it. And I'm like, dude, I don't think this is it. So he gets there and he asks, so sure enough, it wasn't it. And we had to keep driving. And I think that's where he really got worn down, was that night in particular, because we got to Quetzaltenango, and it's like to find the hotel, I think once we got to Quetzaltenango, it took us like 90 minutes in the city to find the hotel. And that city was like the biggest maze of anything. Like it was like, that was probably the craziest maze I've come across on the trip, although Medellin is pretty nuts, really nuts, although they have street signs here, and Quetzaltenango they didn't. So we ended up asking some people, and they said, oh, follow that school bus. So we followed the school bus and ended up where we needed to be. As soon as we got to Quetzaltenango, I guess the altitude, I could feel my cold stepping up a notch. I got to the hotel again and just boom, went to bed, didn't eat, or blah, blah, blah. I was really cold. Like I was like, ugh. But in the morning I felt a bit better, and I needed an oil change in my car. And I figured Quetzaltenango is a big city. It's got a historic vibe, but it's a big city, kind of ghetto-y. Figured there'll be a Volkswagen thing here that can do my oil change properly without stripping the oil pan lid or whatever, right? The screw-on lid for it, because Volkswagens are particular with that stuff. So I kind of found one online, which was weird because I didn't think I could. And we walked to it to make sure we knew where it was, let them know we're doing the oil change. I think they thought we were like so weird. They're like, you need to come to us to do an oil change? Like, why don't you do it yourself? Because I think down there, most people can just do that stuff themselves. So we go back to the hotel, get the car, go to the place, get the oil change done, no big deal, and then head off to Antigua, which is a short, I think that one was a short trip, like maybe 3 hours or something like that, so it was nice to have a shorter drive. But Antigua was like I have written down here, and I remember telling my parents, mom and dad, when I talked to them on the phone or whatever, or wrote them an email or something there, Antigua is pretty much like your Jasper Banff of Guatemala. Like it's like total gringo, touristy central. It was cool, like lots of markets and stuff. I remember walking on the street feeling pretty sick, but healing a bit. And there was someone wearing one of those skeleton masks, Diaz del Morte or whatever, and I like loved that so much. Like they were playing a song or something. There were some kids singing some songs too, whatever. When we left Antigua, there was like this awesome volcano, and I've got some video of that. If I can capture the video just right, like we were driving when I filmed it, then you'll see some smoke coming off the top. But it was amazing, like leaving there. And then we had to hit another border, heading to El Salvador, going to San Miguel. And in San Miguel, we knew like we were gonna have a long day coming in. And the next day, we had to cross 2 borders. We had to cross from El Salvador to Honduras, Honduras to Nicaragua, where Carmen was going to depart from. So we had to cross 2 borders. It was a 7-hour drive from San Miguel in El Salvador. So we're just like, no, like we're not going into the heart of town. We're staying on the periphery of the town in like a business hotel, so we can get in and out fast. And sure enough, that's what we did. Carmen and I checked in, got some dinner. It was a fancy hotel. Wandered around the street just a bit. It wasn't anything special. It was a big city, and we were sort of on the outskirts of it, so just generic stuff. Although a little more poor and run down than North America. But so we left there, no problem. Came through Honduras. The border was like a little less professional. Like the lady when we got there had to do some paperwork. She's like, "Oh, I'm gonna go have some lunch," and like came back like an hour later. We were talking to a Texan dude, and he was just like, whatever, right? But no problems. We didn't die in Honduras, even though I think it's the second highest murder capital in the world for countries or something like that. No problems. Get through there. I can't tell you too much about the landscape because I don't remember fully, but I think it was sort of like Guatemala, like poor. A lot of the villages built along the roads. Nothing major though, because we just blitzed through. So then we ended up in Managua, and that was again very, very tough on Carmen because he was driving. I was still kind of recovering from my cold and my fever, whatever. I was feeling better, but he was in driver mode. He sort of decided he felt better when he drove and I navigated with our very limited navigation tools, like basically pictures and maps and stuff like that. And he was pissed at me when we got to Managua because there was a hotel we could have stayed on right on the highway. But I was like, no, like this one's cheaper, it's in town, let's stay there. Saving like 20 or 30 bucks, whatever, right? I don't know. But he was going to leave the next morning early, and he'd already been tired from trying to figure out the Shela, Quetzaltenango directions, and he was just tired of driving in hectic situations, arriving to towns trying to find our way. But we booked this one hotel, and I was like, no, we'll find it, whatever, right? So sure enough, we get there, and like there's no street numbers, there's nothing. We pull over to a gas station right on the highway, and it's like clear as day, even though it's night. Unfortunately, that there's no way they were going to be able to find our hotel without spending like 2 hours. I know he's like at the end of his rope, he's tired, we've been pushing all trip. He's got to fly home at like 5 a.m. in the morning. So I was like, okay, let's get a taxi, get them to figure out where the hotel is. We'll follow them. It won't cost us much. We're in like Central America, right? So sure enough, that's what we did. Get to the hotel, it's like this little bed and breakfast thing. Get there, basically eat some food, go to bed. Carm leaves the next morning, takes a taxi, like 20 minutes away to the airport, flies back to Canada. And now I'm in Managua, Nicaragua, and I decided to take another night at that bed and breakfast because I knew I would need that to kind of plan how to get into Costa Rica without having Carmen who could speak Spanish, and I can't speak Spanish. So that did, just got myself ready and walked to like this nearby. So where the bed and breakfast was again, Managua is a huge city, and where the bed and breakfast wasn't like in this crazy historic area like that. But I walked over this kind of like suburban mall, got some mall food, and like walked back, got some money exchanged over, blah blah blah, and kind of was feeling that like. Okay, dude, like, you're on your own now, and this is not a place where people speak English, and this is going to be some tricky stuff figuring out for the next while.